So welcome guys to our Inspire the World, and our guest is Jack. So Jack ni cocktail. So Jack atatueleza Jack ni nani. Basically una to brief tu details about Jack then.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Jacob Aliet, and as he has alluded, I'm a jack of many trades. I'm mainly known as an author, and I'm also known for this book called Unplugged, which has been a Nairobi bestseller now for the second year going. I work as an IT project manager, but I'm also an author. I've written 13 books. This is actually my 8th book. My other 7 books are books of fiction. I also have ebooks or which you can find on Kindle, but 8 of them are paperbacks. So I deal with masculinity issues right now because I found that we have a lot of challenges men are having, adjusting in today's society, dealing with the relationships, dealing with the challenges of being a man, and so on and so forth. So I'm a life coach. I deal with issues to do with success, issues to do with how to ground yourself as a man, and how to make sure that you fortify yourself against all the kind of challenges that men are dealing with today. Yeah.
So basically Jack, tupatie background yako.
Background yangu, I grew up in Isili, section 3 near Sun City Cinema. And when my dad died when I was 12, we went to Shags in Homa Bay County. So I was there. I went to high school in St. Mary's Yala. University, I went to Moi University. I did information science. I came back to Nairobi. I started working. I later did my master's in Nairobi University. But I'm mainly an IT professional. So all along I wanted to be an author. I've read a lot of books on different subjects. And I was actually filled with this thirst for knowledge. So I'm all over the place, but I've written a lot. If you Google me, you'll find way back up as early or as late as 2007. I had an article published in a Turkish journal called Alternatives, where I was responding to Professor Ali Mazrui. But it took me a while before I settled on what I could start writing about.
So when you came back to Nairobi, did you take yourself as a writer?
No, when I came back to Nairobi, the first thing was to get a job. Get a house, get a job, help my mother at the time. I had younger brothers and sisters who were coming up. I was paying their school fees. So basically it was just about life. Writing sort of took a back seat, but I spent a lot of time reading and a lot of investigation. I had a lot of questions about religion, about life, about the universe, and so on. So most of the years, I can say 12 years from the university, most of it was just on inquiry. I can call it intellectual inquiry. I did some writing, but most of it actually was just reading and getting answers to a lot of questions that I had.
Okay, about the investigation. Let's say the range or the period you took to write a book.
Oh, okay. As far as writing, I used to write articles. I've been published in Nation, Standard, academic journals. I just used to write articles, but I started writing seriously in 2018. 2018 is when I decided now I need to start doing this thing seriously, because I'd been thinking about it for very long. But there's something I posted on Facebook, and guys told me, wow, if you did this, it means you have a talent, you should be writing, and we're going to buy your books. So that is when I started, and I started with a book called Strange Encounters. So Strange Encounters is a series of short stories. I wrote it in 2018. I also wrote Shoreline Origins also in 2018. And then I moved on 2019, I wrote a book called Magnolia Flower, an urban thriller. 2020, I wrote Levant Church. And then after 2021, I wrote Shoreline Evolution. And then in 2022, I actually wrote 3 books. I wrote Unplugged, I wrote Transference, and I wrote Slice of Darkness for Breakfast, which is also an anthology I wrote with about 9 other authors. But Unplugged is the one that actually did very well.
So how did you do the research for the Unplugged?
The research for the Unplugged, actually what happened is during the COVID time, I have 3 of my friends who actually got divorced. So when they got divorced, this really got my attention, and I wondered what was going on, because they were regular guys, they were not abusive, they had jobs, they were not cheating on their wives, and I started to investigate what is going on with marriage. So I spent so much time on it. The idea was just to understand what is happening. But now when I wanted to go back to my regular writing, I realized, wow, I've uncovered something that even I did not know. I need to write about this. So I decided to write about it. I realized it was controversial, but I decided it was so important, and men really needed the knowledge that I had obtained, that I was going to risk going into that controversial space. And so I decided to write the book, and in the most forthright manner possible. The thing about Unplugged is that as I was investigating, it brought together everything that I'd learned from religion, from history, from philosophy, from evolutionary psychology, endocrinology, even in terms of anthropology and sociology. So all these things came together now to answer a lot of questions that I had about relationships, about our purpose here, about intergender dynamics. So as much as the book itself took about 2 to 3 months of investigation and writing, I built on the knowledge that I had acquired in the previous years. Yeah.
So how did your friend took, or the reaction from your friend about the Unplugged?
Guys have received it very well, even my friends, even my wife. And a lot of my supporters, by the way, they are females. A number of them even are single mothers. But they realize the importance of the message, particularly when it comes to the boy child, as we call him. So most of my friends have benefited from it. I have friends, for example, who used to drink, and now they've stopped drinking after reading Unplugged. And they've been able to tell me about the amount of money they have saved and how their careers have actually changed as a result of... Yeah.
So who is an ideal woman?
There's no ideal woman, actually. Women are the same. What we can talk about is a woman who may not be the right woman, but there's no ideal woman, because women, the way a woman turns out depends on you as a man. And that's why we talk about the masculine frame. We have so many guys in the US particularly who have gone there and they've had bad experiences with the relationships. So many of these guys, they say, okay, nataka kienyeji, they send somebody, they get a kienyeji chick from Ushago, a chick who doesn't know much. But what you find is many times those guys don't get good results. Unapata kienyeji, anaenda huko, anamea pembe. And these guys still end up harvesting premium tears. So that's why we tell guys the most important thing for a man is to develop what we call a masculine frame. That is what determines how the woman will turn out in your life. And that's why we say that relationships are reflective. Many times, if you do not have the masculine frame, then a woman is just going to turn out to be something else. That is why, if you look at in Egypt, there is that monument that is called the Sphinx. The Sphinx normally is, that statue is, it's something that has, it's supposed to be having the head of a lion, and it has the feet of a bird or an eagle, and it also has wings. So you find that it is a mixture of many things at the same time. But it also has breasts, by the way, although it is broken down. The basic idea is it shows you what the female is. It's a mixture of many things. In fact, some people say that it's like a riddle. So a woman is someone that can tear you into pieces and fly away. So the wings represent that it can fly away. And the claws and the feet show you that it can actually tear you. And it also shows you that it is a lion. So depending on how you manage, what will come out of a woman can be a lion, it can be all those things.
What is the difficult part writing about the opposite sex?
the most difficult part with writing about the opposite sex is women don't want the truth. They don't want to be told the truth, and they don't want to be held accountable. And women have also been acculturated to be victims. That is why, and they are very good at manipulation. So, for example, if you are like you and me, if you are talking, if I've eaten a lot, I'm out of shape. I say, hey manze, kuna kitambi, you know, you'll just say, okay, kuna kitambi, usijali, I'm going to start going to the gym, you know, you just admit. If it's a woman, they'll say you are body shaming them, you see. So you cannot talk about her weight or her body shape. So body shaming it's manipulation, because when you say it's body shaming, it means you are actually attacking that person.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a woman being promiscuous or sleeping around with many men, you're not supposed to talk about that. If you do, they say you are slut shaming. Okay, so again, that is another manipulation. So women don't want men to talk about those things. They don't want you to talk about their beauty, their age. If you talk about age, again, you are age shaming. And yet, you know, like the life of a woman, age is a major determinant, because women are born with a fixed number of eggs. And this number of eggs, they start depleting immediately from the time they're in the womb. Even before a woman is born, their eggs are already depleting. And a woman is most fertile between the ages of 18 and about 26. 27, the decline starts beginning. And then by the time they hit 35, it's menopause. Past 35, they can still have children, but there's a risk of having deformities and things like that. So women don't want you to talk about their age, but also because of what we call blue pill conditioning that has taught women that their sexuality is evergreen. That means that a woman who is 60 and a woman who is 22, they have the same sexual marketplace value, which is not true. So when men try to say that a woman who is 22 years has more value to a man than a woman who is 60, women also don't want to hear that. And if you say such things, you get cancelled. They say you are bitter, you are toxic, and things like that. So that's the main challenge of dealing with women. But at the same time, I found a lot of support from women who are older, women who are in their 50s and 60s, who have sons, and they are seeing the challenge of making these sons of them become men. They become very close to me because they see the value that I can bring in terms of talking to their sons and letting them know what they need to do to become men in the modern society. Single mothers also, there are some who are very defensive, especially if they feel that they can still get a man and they feel they say naribu soko. They say naribu soko because I'm telling men about the dangers of dating certain kinds of women. They don't want that. But also, I also appreciate it because one thing which I also mentioned in the book, the success of one gender's mating strategy depends on the ignorance of the other gender about that strategy. So if the other, and that's why we talk about game. Yeah, we normally talk about money, muscles, and game. You see, what game is for example, if you know that a bird likes a certain kind of seed and you want to catch that bird, then it means you just give it, you spray that seed somewhere, and then you set a trap. That is what we call game. So a game also is about also understanding female nature. And that's why you find the rap artists in the US particularly, they can go and they rent a car, they look like they're flashy and very successful. And there's some women who fall for that. That is just like a game, because it's an imposter lifestyle, but sometimes women are not able to tell whether it's fake or real. So you get them and you sleep with them. By the time they realize you got what you wanted, that is called game. So when men understand what makes women tick, then men are in a better position also to get women. And that's part of also what I'm teaching men in the book. So women also don't like that. But women also, they come into my inbox and say, hapa enyewe hapa umesema ukweli, this is who we are. But some women don't like it at all.
Because nimetry kuangalia reviews, so nikakosata negative.
Yeah, but
most are ladies. Yes. And then ukipata boys, maybe anasema, hii ndio imenichange. Their comments are short and brief.
Yes. There have been some negative reviews, but I've deleted a number of them because most of them, they have not read the book, and they don't talk about the book. So you can actually find that it's a review that is based on just bias. Because even the people who really hated the book, once they read the book, they changed their position on it. So that is why you don't have many negative reviews. But of course, we have a few. They are not all 5 stars.
And why do ladies prefer to be single than to be in a long-term commitment?
It depends. Many women today, particularly career women, you see, once a woman has tasted a certain kind of money, getting a man who has that kind of money sometimes is a challenge.
Yeah.
So what they do, they'd rather become side chicks to rich guys than get hooked to an average man. Because the lifestyle they want, that average guy cannot provide it. So that is why you find that they prefer to be side chicks. You know about the story. I'm going to mention names because this is in the public domain. Bahati's wife said how she used to have a rotation of men that she used to sleep with, so that some are paying rent, others are fueling, others are for the salon, and so on. So many women prefer to be single because of that. Because when you're single, you're what they call a snack for guys who have money. So these guys can be screwing you and they give you money, and you lead a very extravagant lifestyle because you're getting income from various sources. So basically it's like prostitution in a sense, but it's because of women, young women being influenced by social media, by slay queens, and they want a certain kind of life which they cannot actually live from a honest day's work. Yeah.
So why Unplugged?
Yeah, so Unplugged, I struggled with this title, by the way, because initially I think I wanted to call it How to Become Competent Men. I thought that was a mouthful. It was too long. Later, I was actually trying to avoid the word unplugged because I know Rich Cooper also had Unplugged Alpha. And but the more I thought about it, the more I realized the best title for this book is just Unplugged, because we are unplugging from what you've been taught from childhood and by the society, and now unplugging into the reality. That's why I decided to call it Unplugged.
Na kuna comment fulani nimeona mahali. What did sijui our fathers never told us?
Yes. So I call it Unplugged, things that our fathers did not teach us. Because one thing I also realized is that there are so many of us who learned about marriage, about relationships, about women from the social media, from novels, from romance novels, from movies, from Hollywood, and so on. So what we learned is from the West, and most of it is actually very wrong and dangerous. In fact, it makes people kill themselves. So when I say it's things our fathers did not teach us, our fathers also were not there when by the time Facebook and TikTok and YouTube were coming, most of us were adults. So in terms of the social media era, we were never parented to be able to deal with it. So it brings all that together. And then at the time our fathers were the ones who were adults, women did not have the rights that they have today. Most of our mothers were housewives, or they were very traditional women. That means that even if they got jobs, they were supporting their families. But many women today, you find most women, they say that his money is ours, but my money is mine. And most modern women, again, as we've just mentioned now, they get children out of marriage and they don't feel ashamed. When our parents were in charge, a girl getting pregnant out of wedlock was a big shame. She will get stigmatized and she will get really ashamed. Nowadays, nobody cares. So those are some of the changes that men of our generation have to adjust to. And that's why I call this book Things Our Fathers Did Not Tell Us. Yeah.
So as we finish, what criteria did you use for the Unplugged, and recommend people where they can get the Unplugged?
So the main thing is I talk about success. And one thing I've seen that makes men fail to become successful is either they pedestalize women, they lack self-belief, or they don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are as a man. Because you see, we've been told that we are like women, we are equal, we have equal rights. Now with the LGBTQ, we are being told we are just, there's no difference. There's an ideology that is called blank slate equalism. So I'm teaching guys what it means to be a man. Because as men, the way we have been, our constitution actually, we are like beasts of burden. That's why we have a lot of testosterone. Men can actually fight with the lions and beasts and so on. But we are being dumbed down and made to become like feminine. So the book is targeting that. I'm trying to tell guys who they are, how they can be successful, and how they can be strong. The things they need to avoid, you know, like pornography, video games, spectator sports, and so on. I'm telling guys you need to be in shape, you need to work hard, you need to take the burden of performance so that you can be successful. So the book is available. Those who want to get Unplugged, they can get in touch with me. I'm Jacob Aliet on Facebook, but it's also at the Nuria bookstore, which is in the Bazaar building along Biashara Street, 11th floor.
Okay. Thank you, Jack, for your
welcome.
time.
Karibu sana.